You know, it's been a while since I played the guitar. I played it over the summer, and my fingers hurt. I started playing again, so. I was thinking to myself, I'm struggling, the whatever was inside my head. And it's like, well, nobody wants to see a washed up old 56-year-old fart playing guitar. And I'm like, you know what? There's one person that does. You know who that is? It's me. So if it's nobody else is going to hear it, but me, at least, I'm doing something I really want to do. And you say, oh no, you're attached to this world. You're going to be coming back because you're playing guitar. Maybe so. Waking Up from the Matrix by the Vegan Skeptic. Part 7. Well, I had to look at some images I filmed. I filmed this last fall of some funky things in the sky. You know what's interesting about the orbs? They like those. You see those? I guess they call them ectomist. They're there one moment and gone the next, literally within seconds. And it's not the breath. It's not. This is temperature. Once the temperature gets cold, I don't film. So I don't like being outdoors in the cold. I start seeing my breath. I'm like, screw that. I'm too old for that shit. So, anyways, I don't know where these things. These things pop right. There's like a little circle that pops right through that. It's not a leaf. That definitely is not. That might be a leaf. I don't think so. But I know I filmed a police, so usually you can tell when it's a leaf. It's a lot more prominent. So anyways, then this is an orb. That light was there and it was gone the next. It's not the moon. And this one, I call these Q-tip or spirits or orbs or whatever. I don't know if you can see that. If you look real close, it's got two eyes, even got eyelids and a nose. So spirits are real. What they are, I don't know. Maybe we're not even, the placeholder that we're using called spirits is maybe the wrong thing. I don't know. But there's something in the sky, there's something all around us. And whether you believe it or not, I guess it's not going to change a thing, really. And you know what's weird is I discovered this stuff and nobody really believes me. And I'm just like, am I wasting my time telling people the truth about anything? Sometimes I think that's what's the case. You know what I mean? They should just have fun with this stuff instead of taking it too dreadfully seriously. 666 connections that indicate how we live in a hellish realm. Hey, can't argue with that. You know, and it's a weird thing, you know. The world don't like me and I don't like it. I don't mean to be that way. I really want to like everybody. I want everyone to like me. But it turns out no one does. So what the hell do you do about that? You can't do much at all about it, to be honest with you. Any more than I can, help the fact that there's two eyes right there, an iris and a nose and eye ridge or eyebrows. There's a better way to say it. I mean, pareidolia, sure, why not? If that's what makes you feel happy. If that's what makes you feel happy about, and if it makes you feel more comfortable, all right, shit, what can I do? You ain't doing it. You're not doing what I'm doing, that's for sure. Spend a lot of time. You know, I'm listening to a lot of people. The Bigfoot community, I wonder if I should just work on my book and just do a recording of me and my experience. Just throw it out there and knowing the full well that no one's going to fucking care or fucking believe me anyways. And why am I interviewing everybody else? That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? They don't seem to be all that interested in what I have to say anyways. Even though I do have something to say. But fuck it, you know, what can you do about it? And you know, it's not my fault that this doesn't, it flies in the face of the science community. Or that, even the scientific method, for that matter. It's not my fucking fault. Do you know what I mean? Well, it's your fault for believing your eyes. Well, it could be the case. Could this all be a big just light show, a big trick, right? You know, I'm looking at all these other people. You know, since there's only one decent image of this alleged Sasquatch, or video, I should say, not an image. And then, of course, that's the Patterson film, right? Everybody knows this, who's paid any attention to the story of Sasquatch and Bigfoot, right? And then everything else, for most of us, all we get is just glimpses of heads. Maybe upper body part, you know what I mean? Very shadowy figures. Sometimes we could get images of a real face, or of a face that looks like a face, right? And then, of course, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's very Fortean, you know what I mean? It's really just like what Charles Fort said. We are the damned. Those that find out that there's something a little off about this world, a little different than what we were told, and public education, higher education, the mainstream media, and the prophets and proprietors of the truth, right? So when it comes to Bigfoot, you're just like, you're fucked. You really are. It's like you're going to have your own individual experiences. They're going to contradict a lot of what you believe and have been told. You're not going to either, if you're so dogmatic about your belief system that you say, you know what? If it doesn't fit the model that I have or someone else has prescribed for me of what a true Sasquatch is, it's not the truth. And on the other side, then, yeah, I see people are actually turning it into a damn cult and actually treating Sasquatch as some kind of demigod. They're supposed to save your ass. No, I mean, you know, as far as activating your soul and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not knocking my bro, but there's people out there, and it's not just him, they're saying something like that. And the fact of the matter is, it just should just shake you up enough to realize you don't know shit. That's what it should do. And try to, maybe, you know, if part of my bloodline, you know, supposedly, it's just the legend of the Sasquatch or Kishisabe. Sabe is a, you know, of honor, of honesty. So then you stop making up stuff to the best of your ability, even though you realize you're still struggling with it. I know I am at times. Am I right about what I just said? Fuck if I know. Wasn't around back when, and you know, they could have it be like it is today. You know what I mean? There's a billion ways to see the world. 8 billion ways to see the world. Truth. What is it? Such an elusive thing. When you think about it, it's so elusive. Yet we're designed, programmed to chase after it. We chase after this truth. And it just seems to keep going further and further away from us. Like elusive spirit. I know. You'll say, oh, I got lots of truth. Okay. And I bet you, if we sat down and talked, a lot of it would be awfully negative. If we got honest about things. But you know what? We focus on the exterior, the external. They say they're supposed to go inside, whatever that fucking means. You just tell you, when I'm feeling going inside, it's either some form of heartburn or some kind of pain or, you know, being constipated, that shit kind of shit, you know what I mean? You try to focus on it, you know, try to do this spiritual thing, but I can't seem to do it. At one time I thought I was doing it, And then I was told I was doing it wrong. And then I realized I was actually doing it wrong. Fuck. And now I'm just like, do I really want to meditate at all in my age and stage in life? Or do I want to be active as much as possible? Knowing that for certain that my days are numbered here. But you gotta get prepared. You don't want to fall in love with this place. Believe me, I'm not in love with this place. Well, what about your guitar playing? And your son? You gotta detach from everything. Fuck. Oof. Fuck. Yes, master. Yes. Yeah. After learning about the soul trap, seeing all of the 666 connections and warnings everywhere started to make sense to me, since, as it turns out, we basically live in an amnesia and suffering. I think we read some of this already from last time. Boosted purgatory type of hell already. After all, what else are we to call this horrendous place where we keep getting mind wiped into it with illogical excuses? It's damn good freaking, if you take out the 666 thing, it's pretty good, man. 666, it's just more mindfuckery is what that is. It originally was about Nero, allegedly. But who knows, because if it's Roman propaganda, then... And they're damn good at it. You know, how they wrote those scriptures. You could take it this way to Sunday if you don't freaking keep it on its relevancy and time statements and pay attention to what it's really talking about, because the whole New Testament is talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. Literally, the judgment of Jerusalem and Israel. Moses, the law, the temple. Right? And, it's written during a time during the Jewish wars. Allegedly. Maybe it was, it did happen. And there was writings in the 2nd and 3rd century and 4th century before they amalgamated it all into something, I think. The scriptures were what? When were they canonized? Some people say it's 9C, but I don't think so. I need to look into that for whatever it's worth. Not really worth much of anything, because at the end of the day, there's no evidence for any of those characters. Except Pontius Pilate, maybe. But just because you mention somebody that possibly was a real historical figure doesn't mean that it's a book of nonfiction. There's plenty of fictional books that have, people of culture, political characters of the past, of the present. And after all, what could they do about it if you're writing about if they were real people centuries later, right? I mean, you couldn't, sue them. You're gone, right? Supposedly. I'll now share with you some of the interesting 666 connections that I found out, which I believe hints to what kind of place we truly live in. And this is, of course, the vegan skeptic, his words, not mine. Oh, just shut off on me. The same entities that did the Event 201. Did we already read the... yeah, we did all this stuff. I talked so much about the Event 201 and Cladex and all the other events prior to it. And no no one listened anyways. I mean, some people did, but the vast majority of people just didn't give a shit. But anyways, we'll read it again. The pandemic's, oh God, we don't want to talk about the pandemic right now. That's what caused me to have them nuke my last channel. Where am I? Did I not read this? There's the vax. Maybe I did. Maybe it's something similar. Okay, we'll just read it anyways. What the hell? Okay, the same entities that did the Event 201 simulation did another similar pandemic simulation named CLIDX, which was on May 15th, 2018. And the CEV Panny it was declared on March 11, 2020. And I know that because my mom's, I think she either passed away on the 9th or on the 13th. Now I can't forget. Isn't it terrible? I talked to my sister about why her the day she passed away is not still on her tombstone. She said she's getting on it. She said hopefully it'll be taken care of within a month. So I just brought it up because it's the 13th, and I mean it just is this is our mom's anniversary, and it's 3 years, and she still doesn't have the the date of her passing away on her tombstone. And there's money in her account. I haven't done. I don't know why. And apparently, she talked to the funeral home and the cemetery there, and apparently they're blaming it on her that she. I think wouldn't you think that would, like, when you're discussing what's going to happen, burial, tombstone, that would already be in there? Wouldn't they bring it up? She thinks maybe because of the scamdemic that's the people were all distracted. But then again, if we know what was going on those past several years, everybody was lumped into one particular thing. Didn't matter what had happened to you that caused you to pass away. Magically, you had that one thing that we're not allowed to talk about. And then those who took the GBD Jeep, it happened, right? Like my mom, just she passed away because she ended up having a blood clot in her brain, a stroke, and she died. And I buried her on the 20th. That doesn't mean this when she died. I think it was at least a week, so it's at least the 13th. I know it was 2 days, either short or just after the anniversary of March 11th. 3/11. 3/11. And then if you really do some number magic, then you could get, 6 out of the year. And of course, 3/11 can be, you can magically turn that into something like 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 1 is 3. That's 6. So it's 2 6s, and then another 6, 6, 6, 6. So the day that it finished, or not didn't finish, but the year anniversary of the Scamity Scam, it added up to 666 as well. I don't know if you found that out. I just figured that out. I wonder if you found that out as well. So, anyways, this is such a hell of a place. And when my mom passed away, I actually was happy for her because she ended up losing her leg and then ended up in a nursing home. I couldn't take care of her because I was damaged. No one believes me, and I don't think anyone will ever believe me, even though there are thousands of us, that it did happen, and some of us are willing to talk about it. And it was even talked about in the news back in the 70s, and warned about the same thing that I had no idea. You know what I mean? But I had no idea that taking that particular swine biggity bing, that was dangerous. That people passed away back then, and so then it got damaged, and they still used it. So makes you wonder. You said, well, it's all about profiteering and profit motives, and I'm like, you know what? There's a deeper thing going on. Eugenics is a big part of this world, and they don't like us, the peasants, because we're ignorant, we're the profane, the unwashed. We are not part of the club. All right, and so we're no use to them. We're a burden. At least in their thinking. Now, mind you, in the meantime, these things, if some are very parasitic, if that is the case, which I would assume that's what's going on. So you got these energies, these spirits, these interdimensional beings of whatever sort, and apparently they feed on us, on our emotions, our feelings, our pains and suffering. Maybe it's our own life essence, our own energy. But then again, I don't know how we prove that. I don't think we can yet. But we are filming these things that look other than just pareidolia. Thanks to the new technology, people are willing to do it. Things that look like spirits and orbs and entities. You know what I mean? People sometimes mistake as UFOs. What they are, it's still in the dark about what it is. A lot of guessing. A lot of people think they are just either human spirits or other type of spirits. That's what our ancestors said. And our ancestors were afraid of the dark and going in the woods for good reason, apparently. It wasn't just simple superstition. Because it seems that in the other half of this world, the darkness, there's a whole kind of interdimensional ecology of biome of beings, if you will, of energies. Maybe it's just illusions, maybe not. Just because today we don't fully understand it doesn't mean tomorrow we won't. You know what I mean? With new technology, I think that there's plenty of people in powerful positions who still want to know if there's an afterlife or if there's other things around us that are unseen things, forces, beings, right? We're always in that quest, one way or the other. So, but it's funny, it's like, you always hear these know-it-alls, you know what I mean? And it's like, everyone's like, I got it all figured out. Yeah, I got it all figured out, you see. See, you're just mistaken. Silly person. Yeah, go back to your woo camp. Woo, 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 woo. Well, us flesh and brothers, bludders, blubbers, you'd say, you know what, we'll be in our intellectual limited hangout with our masters. They'll tell us the truth. We don't need to find out for ourselves. Mind you, if you do, you're going to be in either camp. You're going to find yourself being tossed around like a ping pong ball. Whack back and forth. Bam, 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 bam. Until you realize, you know what, I'm probably better off doing this on my own. And maybe better off just talking to the one person who's willing to listen. Which might only just be me in the end. But I realize that this cannot be just uniquely Michael Adams' experience. You see, I just want to know the truth. I got there's a lot of people in this that just want to, they claim they do, but they don't seem to really be interested. If it takes them down a road they don't want to go. And this stuff is right now irrational, illogical to us, right? Based on what we've been taught and our limited understanding. Even some pretty smart people. I mean, I met some pretty smart people back in the day. Really smart guys. walk circles over me with their memory and the word salad and how they can teach and preach and you know what I mean. What can you do about it? It's like people are where they're at. Everyone's convinced that they're right. All I know is there's some strange, high strangeness around me. Entities, things that look like entities, look like apparitions or beings, and I just I don't know what they are. Maybe they're just a big freaking illusion. Maybe. Or maybe they're not. I mean, it's one of those things. When do you get? It's like in this situation, this 40-year journey, there's just more questions than answers right now. Maybe it's always meant to be that way. Maybe that's part of the soul trap matrix, right? But 666 is not only the number of man, but it's one of those sacred numbers that is very associated with what? Rome, the Roman Empire. And remember that the Roman Empire absorbed the Hebrews and the Jewish Empire, right? Eventually the Jews actually lost. But then they got clever about things. They used what they had, like the banking system, loaning things. And they got, they still were in the club, right? Because they're just good at that. They're good at getting in everything, aren't they? I never seen such a small group of people be involved in so many different things. It's amazing. Mind you, what the Roman Catholics do, the Jesuits, they just overwhelm you with numbers, right? Just by the numbers game, the odds. You're going to get all your boys and gals into political positions, governors, senators. You get yourself a president or want to be president. And you know what? It really doesn't matter if you call yourself a Roman Catholic. Because the only thing that really matters is that you bow to the Pontifex Maximus. Caesar. Modern day Caesar. Popey poo-poo. With his pink slippers. And dressing like a woman. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Some confused people, really. But they do know one thing. They know how this place is run and how the game is played, right? So they got to do all these evil things. They've learned from experience that human sackety sacks is a necessary ingredient in maintaining power and feeding the loose machine of these things, these entities, these pariahs, these parasites. It's demanded. If you don't do it, to get somebody else to do it. All cultures did it. All empires did it. And they still do it. I know war is all about like the profiteering, right? There's a lot of money to be made in destruction and ruining people's lives. Everybody's got to get a cut in it, right? Doesn't matter what field it is. They're all going to get a cut out of it. It could, sure, there's the military industrial complex, but what about the other industrial complexes? One that starts with an M. And all these pyramidal and fascistic, centralized, whatever top heavy. What I mean by that is that at the very top they all know what's going on. They don't understand what's happening. It's about steering us, right? Once again, you need to read that book, The Lord of the World, if you understand what's like all those. Like the irrational behavior of letting all those illegal aliens into this country, right? With this corporation that they want to call a country. Well, it's about numbers, and it is about politics. But it's even more than just politics. You see, it's the design and plan that the Americas, and North America in particular, but the Americas in general, are going to save the West. Do you understand that? As the continuous wars in Europe wage on, because that's their grand chessboard, right? Whoever actually controls Eurasia, hey man, they're the bosses. Is it going to be the East or is it going to be the West? In the end of the day, in the Hegelian dialectic, At the very top, it's always going to be something called Pontifex Maximus, Caesar. Oh, the Roman Empire left us. Well, I beg to differ, and if you really would do some research on it, you'd realize it just transforms. It just morphs. Calls itself different things at a time. But the profane, they have no idea what's going on until you realize that head of the snake really is the Vatican. And or the octopus. And it's people don't want to talk about it. They'll talk about anything else. But once you understand that's what's going on, then you understand stuff like Christianity, right? All forms of it, for Protestant or Catholic or evangelical or blah, blah, blah. You know, they have insurance called SAMS. And that SAM insurance is fascinatingly evil. Because there's insurance to protect the church in case there's terrible things that happen to the children. And protect the pastor, the priest, the minister, etc. They got insurance for that. Isn't that sick? But then again, that's how this system was run, right? Sickos. Twisted sickos. You know, there's some good people, of course, trapped in the system. Maybe. I don't know. I've never met really a good pastor or priest or pope, for that matter. And every time I hear about one, they're doing something terrible to a child. Doesn't matter what organization, what sect it is. But they're not alone, because everybody else is doing the same thing. The Jews are doing the same thing. The Muslims are doing the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not important. It's the game. It's the grand plan, the grand chessboard thing, right? And, this is promise of being on top, you know what I mean? To be in absolute control. And, feed the masters, these entities. Whether they're Lucifer or Serapis, whatever it is, the new version of whatever the latest demigod is, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure it's a scapegoat type of system, you know what I mean? It's like they focus on the one entity, whether it's real or not. A lot of times I can only imagine it's probably, it could be something. I mean, Jesus could be an egregore, could have been a real spirit type of thing, like the Mercianites used to believe, and some of the Gnostics. When I say that, it's like something that came down or came in. In better ways, it came into our existence. But saying that, it's not the same thing as what the Bible says. Yeah, not. John tries to make that happen. But, I mean, it really isn't. It's just a dude that never existed. They just had, Isus. They need a new demigod, man. I mean, what do you want? I mean, you got to have this something. Then there's the big God, right? We call him, I can see in a century, eventually Yahweh or Heavenly Father would be called the Super Force. As people start to realize that this force doesn't seem to give a shit about us too much. And it just seems like the worst of the people get away with anything. And they say they do it in the name of this being, this deity. You know what I mean? It's all in the name of God, man. And so it just goes on and on and on, you know what I mean? Because, the theory about, Roman providence and about the fact that it was Roman propaganda that inspired the New Testament to begin with, and started out as anti-war propaganda. Jeff's, I guess he's my friend. I don't think he wants to talk to me. I don't know why. I think I got things to say. But apparently you have to quote everything in the Bible, and I'm really not interested in doing that. In fact, I'm trying to do my damnedest to try to erase as much as is possible out of my head. Spent too much time reading that thing and studying it, and it's just poison. Man, it's black magic. Oh. I mean, that book will get you to think that it's okay to hate on women, people of alternative sex. They can't help it. I mean, the daimers of this thing created all of us the way we are, right? I mean, so how does anybody, you know, it's like judging people based on the curse of this place, right? I mean, we're all fucked up, right? I mean, I'm not saying that having an alternative lifestyle makes you necessarily any more fucked up than the rest of us. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're all fucked up. And so we all got kinks and idiosyncrasies, and we'd all I know the social engineers and the controllers of this world would like us to believe that where there's one mold that fits all, right? Whether male, female, child, whatever. But clearly that's not the case, right? And they still force down of the the fascia, the bundle of rods beating you over the head with it. You're gonna conform. You're gonna conform, and so they figure out a way to make people conform, and that's they're using greed. So what they do is just like in the West, it's so important to attend a Jesuit school. Now there's other schools as well that they claim not to be connected to it, but they're all connected to it. And so anyways, so you start in the elementary or in high school, they start sorting you out, screening you out for your potential, your talent. You end up going to some Jesuit college or some affiliate to it, because there's the coadjutors, right, the other side of it, right? And what it is that they're looking for the new batch of propagandists and managers, people are going to go along with the big program that actually believe in the lies or understand the lies and are willing to maintain and perpetuate the lies. You know what I mean? Whether it's the religious side of things and the fantasy man of Jesus and Yahweh, his Big Daddy and the Holy Spirit and whatever. And says the only way to make any of it make sense is you got to make them all. Actually, you can't make it sense. That's the problem. So the Trinity thing doesn't make any sense when anybody has any logic, any common sense, right? So, but they don't want you to have that. They want you to just be scatterbrained, fragmented into a million pieces, right? And they've done a damn good job. Even if you don't believe in this stuff, you're still fragmented in a million pieces. If you think you got a good beat on this place and you really know what's going on, your ego is really tripping, man. That's all I got to say. But the one thing that we're certain about, there's an awful lot of what we call evil in the world, isn't there? A lot of injustice and unfairness. Things are unbalanced and things are, rigged, and certain groups' favors and certain people's favor and certain families' favor. And they all have similar connections to the monarchies of the West. Going back to the Lord of the World in that book, right? So this is what he says, and this is what the plan is, right? And the thing is, he talks about wars and dropping bombs from the sky and craft and all that kind of stuff. But it says, there's continuous war, and the West and Rome and Britain is all threatened from the East, right? And the front is going back and forth, and this is the battleground. This is where they're staging all the thing, right? The Ukraine, right? And we'll make it the Khazars. You know what I mean? That's their fault. You know what I mean? The Khazars or whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They're all trying to get their empire back, and probably they are. But they propped up these certain characters, right? To fuck for your head. So is it the J. Crew or is it the Jesuits? Is it this group or that group? Is it Putin's fault? Is it, is this a religious war still again? A continuation of the 1,000-year war between the East and the West? New Constantinople is Moscow, right? It might not mean anything to you, but people in power it does. And then, of course, there's Rome, right? The East and the West, the two wings, the two legs of the empire, the two heads of the empire. We don't talk about that. So the ultimate goal is that somehow, but they're fighting over this, right? Because it's like, The one power brokers in the East, the Orthodox uh, mob, is saying, we want to be the ones in charge. Whereas the Roman Catholics in Rome, the Vatican, say, no, we need to be in charge. It's very clever, isn't it? So, and in the end, then there's the puppeteers, whether they're interdimensional beings or ones that are interacting with them or whatever the hell they're doing. They're like playing this on both sides and pulling strings. And sure, they're making a lot of money, but it's like, I don't know what possesses them to even want to be involved with any of this stuff. I think they're just, they're designed to be what they're supposed to be. And, my conscience seems to be different than their conscience. Things that bother me don't bother them at all. You see, you're just a nice guy. If you just try to be a nice guy or a good guy or whatever. No, I don't think so. I just think I could never be one of them. I think what the problem is, I can never assimilate. I can't assimilate. I can't fit in with this matrix, with this simulation, with this show. I just can't fit in. And I think I had no choice in the matter. I don't think I did, in the sense that I tried to and kept on getting the shit kicked out of me and disappointed to the point I'm just like, obviously this show I was not meant to be in it, or if I am meant to be in it, I'm meant to be just a punching, a rag doll. I just a punching bag for this system, so I can just, just something else to poke at and produce some loosh, and you know what I mean. And even that loosh thing, you know what I mean? These are things that someone else said, and how would I ever know? And who? And here's the thing: what happens if we just? I want there to be a life after this, but I don't want to go to New Jerusalem. I don't want to go to this place they call heaven. It's an illusion. It's like this fascistic, dystopic nightmare that we're all worried about. Where in the others. Yeah, they say we have free will here, but when you get to the other side, you don't have any free will. There's no mention of it, at least, in all the holy scripts that I know of. I know there's a lot of people today that say, "Oh yeah, you can have that." I'm not saying it's that you don't have it. I'm just saying that, the Bible truly makes it very clear that there's no such thing as free will. Yet everyone says there is, but it makes it very clear there's no free will. So then, what is our free will? I mean, most of us just can't just say, do whatever the hell we want, right? I'm going to, get this hot chick, or I'm going to make $1 billion, or I'm going to be a king, or I'm going to create my own world, and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing to prove that the average person can do much of anything except try to survive and entertain themselves, and maybe find a voice that maybe someone might hear our desperate pleas, right? I'm trapped here. Somebody save me. But who's going to save us? Well, Jesus is. Well, then you find out Jesus is not even real. Well, then what the hell was I praying to? And why are all these weird things happening to me, right? That's the thing. And I understand a lot of people have these weird things happen. And maybe we misinterpreted those weird things. Maybe we thought those weird things were positive affirmations, when really they were maybe they were. Maybe they're attempts from the other side to wake our asses up. But we keep missing the point. You know what I mean? Why is it that this entity, the Egregore, Jesus, or whatever it is, angels and all that kind of thing, why do they bless you but not other people? A lot of other people. The vast, vast, vast majority of other people. I think you say the same thing about the other people's gods. Why are you being blessed and not the children who are suffering in hospitals and starvation and poverty and abuse and neglect? Isolation. Why aren't they? They didn't do anything. Yeah, they did. Yeah. we're all born with the original sin. So it's our fault that whoever this thing that created us, it's our fault that we're the way we are. Oh no, it's not our fault. It's Eve's fault, right? Then it's Adam's or Eve's, or there's a debate about that, you know. And the thing is, it's so stupid because at the end of the day, it's like, well, okay, it's so clear what happened to these poor beings if they ever existed. I hardly doubt it, but because it seems to be more just Homeric, you know, mythology and justification and the story of behind the temple, right? But the justification, that's the story inside the temple, is actually the book of Genesis. So, anyways, that's another story. We're getting at here. So, you know, we get all cursed because of some stupid mistake, but I don't think it was a stupid mistake. I think they were set up. When you think about it, they were in a concentration and a reduction camp themselves, right? In which they were just supposed to be peasants and take care of the orchard, you know what I mean, and name the animals. And I'll give you the freedom, you can name the animals. Thanks. And you can run around naked too. Just don't listen to anybody, because you know it's like the emperor with no clothes type of thing. You know, you don't want them to know. You know, don't let anybody convince you that you're running around butt naked. And that ding-a-ling and that thing between your legs, you might, you know, you might figure out that you can start making babies and stuff like that, right? Some people say the forbidden fruit is that, right? And then other people say it literally is a fruit or an apple, right? But the real thing is in all this is that how in the hell can the victims be punished by the victimer, is that the word? The dude is victimized him. You know, how is he doing that? He set him up. He said, hey, you get this hat, you can just hang out in this place, but there's one thing you can't touch, right? You better not touch it, better not eat it. You better, I'm gonna watch you if you're naughty or nice. Yahweh is coming to the garden. He sees you when you're humping. He sees when you're eating that forbidden fruit. He sees you when you're running around trying to hide your genitals. Do. You better not pout. You better not cry. Yahweh is coming to judge you. So you just think about how stupid this whole story is, right? And how unfair it is, right? Here we are, just the creations, not the creator, with limited capacity. Oh, they say, oh no, they were like godlike. Well, if they were godlike, then why are they being challenged by not eating that fruit? If they're godlike. Or they had supernatural powers, that they were spiritual beings at one time, and then they ate that, and now we're all damned. You see, it's a classic scapegoating thing that they do constantly, right? It's Satan's fault. It's Eve's fault. It's always Satan's fault, poor guy. All he does is do what Yahweh wants. And you know what I mean? And so, you know, is it, why put if your creation in that? So the only thing he wanted was absolute obedience. It's kind of like the mafia. It's like, you know, the Godfather type thing, right? As long as you show absolute obedience to whatever I say, you will rise in the ranks. You can make money, buddy. So if I tell you to do this or do that, or shut your mouth about this, or, you know, then there you go. If I tell you what you got to take out your firstborn, then that's the way it's going to be. And if you do what you're told, guess what? You're in the club. You're one of the chosen ones. You demonstrated that you're willing to do anything to be part of the group. Apparently, this is the inspiration for all this. Right? It's very mafiosis. It's very much like what a gang would do, isn't it? Like the Godfather would do to... Meanwhile, the things that are benefiting from all this stuff, whatever they are, whether they're other human beings in droves and hordes, or the other things around us, and infested, flea-bitten flea nest of freaking interdimensional things. They're just drinking, taking the drugs, man. It's like a giant drug factory. That's what this is all about, right? It's not about getting drugged up, trying to forget about the existence. It must be awfully bad on the other side, too. If they all need to get high, you know what I mean? They need to take the drugs, too, if you know what I mean? They got to take the loosh, consume it. It must suck over there, too. If you need to do that, it must be shitty on the other side, too. So, what's really scary to think about? What if this place is better than the other side? Even though all these people have near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and astral projecting, and a lot of them say the complete opposite. What if it's even worse on the other side? And that's why it's so easy to get us to come here, because this is actually like a holiday for us. It's not much of one, right? Some fucking holiday it is. But think about what I'm saying, right? Okay, another example would be how I now don't think that it is not a coincidence. There are also exactly 666 days between the First Continental Congress at 9/5/1774 and to the U.S. vote for the independence, and 7/2/76. Of course, this is the same fateful year of the Illuminati, and apparently the Jesuits, the Black Pope, right? The Jesuit general was here during this time period to help create this. Got to think about all the people involved. The Carroll brothers, for one thing. The original name of Washington, D.C. was Rome, Maryland. Did you know that? It really was. It was Rome, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia, it was. And it's certainly laid out. It's very similar, not only the occultic and Freemasonic symbolism, but it also looks an awful lot like there's an obelisk there, just like in the Vatican City, and there's the Basilica. You know what I mean? All that other jazz, you know what I mean? It's just like so obvious. Anybody pays any time that, Washington, D.C., and we are the bitches of Britain and Rome, the Vatican. But people don't, they don't want to see it. They can't believe it. There's no way. Because you've been told your whole life that America is it's a unilateral, independent country. It's an empire trying to create its own empire, right? When in reality, if you look at all the wars that we've been involved in, none of them benefited we the people, the United States of America, or this country for that matter. And when you look at all the things we got involved with, it seems like we got the green light from the head honchos over in the Vatican and in the inner city of London, right? And what do they follow? The Daymirs, you know what I mean? Could be some kind of unholy, nasty, wretched thing. Something probably, or maybe it looks like Mr. Magoo. Sorry, Mr. Magoo, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just so fascinating how it all works. It's all, but in the end, it's just more confirmation that there's a unified show, simulation, design, purpose for why we're here that's really not beneficial for you and I. Anyways. Anybody remember how the first Apple computer was sold for 666 and 66 cents? Now think about that too. So there's 66 books in the Bible, right? That's what they left for what they hand to us. And of those 66 books, 66 AD is the beginning of the end of Jerusalem and the temple, with that war, and it started in 66 and ended around 70 AD. So you got the 66 there, and then the 666 you'll find in the book of Revelation was the number of a man who is a Caesar, or a political figure, you know what I mean, following a man, whether it's pope or it's president or king or queen for that matter. Because just because it says number of man doesn't mean it's not necessarily number of woman. Anyways, you know, when you really truly study the book of Revelation, if you keep it audience relevancy to it and the time statements, listen or read it for what it says, you know that it's about the seven churches of Asia during that time period. That all seven of those churches I don't think even exist anymore in any way, shape, or form, and that the judgment was the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple and the Jews, because that's what it was all about. That's the people don't. All you have to do is do a little bit of research. You know, the funny thing is, yeah, you can learn a lot from Joseph Atwell and from Caesar's Messiah, and it will help you to see things. But just remember one thing. Joseph told me personally, and I also heard him say it a couple of times on the internet in other interviews, he didn't think that Josephus himself was a real person. So he used a lot of Josephus' writings, but he doesn't think that that's... Because there's so many question marks about, you know, if there's one or more than one author and all sorts of shit. But the biggest thing is, and he's probably right, there probably was no Josephus. I mean, outside of the, he was just given credit for the books. Now, other people argue about it, but I mean, a guy that's put all that time into, like Joseph, he told me that. I mean, people, I guess it comes down to a belief system about whether even Josephus existed. So anyway, 66 is the number 66 books. It ends, the whole book, the collection of the New Testament ends in 66. The beginning of the end is 66 AD. What about the HR 666? How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it 4 of them, or did he miss? I always thought it was 3. Maybe he put one. Regardless, it's, just, they like that number. Really what that number represents to me, that's Rome. That's the Vatican. That's the Pontifex Maximus. That means when you see that 666 on something, on a barcode or something you buy, that means somebody has, they're the Vatican, the largest, most powerful monarchy in the world, is taking credit for or in charge of it, or is getting some kind of kickback, you know what I mean? And so it's like a signal to other people, hey, listen, this stuff, some of that taxes and all that goes back to them. And so you think the trillions of dollars that they stole from the people of the United States, especially in 2019, the people don't realize, $30 trillion plus $30 plus trillion dollars. They just stole our future, our children's future, and everything, and they're going to use it to because you understand they're still at war, and the East and the West are still at war, and they're always going to be at war. It's not just about profit, but there's the big game, the chessboard. That's what it's all about, anyways. We're just pieces, either to be used to help maintain the empire, or to get us out of the way. They got a problem with it, so there's a little bit of delay. So, well, that's what it's all about. for them. No, that doesn't mean that the things on the other side have something other plan. And maybe it's true. It seems to be constant. There's enough historical precedents to see that every time people start waking up, whether it was the Cathars or the early Gnostics or all the other groups too, for that matter, challenged authority. And look at the tens of thousands of cultures. And I mean, okay, yeah, at least it can't be an exaggeration. At least thousands of cultures who have been systematically rooted out and eliminated, and all they are now are just memories of the past. If they're lucky, it's in the history books. But there's just, there were thousands of tribes and different ethnic groups of First Nation people in North America. People don't realize that. And that was just North America. And I was thinking about South and Central America. Let's think about Africa. Let's think about it, and all the other places they go. I mean, they pretty much screw us everywhere to Sunday and back. And if you're not going to follow their lies in the program, I mean, they're just going to leave you in the reduction camp to fight for yourself. We're all playing a hunger game. We've been playing all along. We just don't realize it. It's a different form right now, but it can easily be transferred back to where it's like bang, bang, hunting each other, shooting each other, you know what I mean? War, that's what they want anyways. Too many of us bipedal rodents. They need to do something about us, right? So here's the thing. What do we do about it, right? I guess we get honest and talk about it, but who wants to talk about it anyways? Because people throw up their hands and say, what the fuck can I do about it? I don't think you can do anything about it, except make a decision whether or not I don't want to play the game today. That doesn't mean that tomorrow they're not going to force you to do it. But today you can say, I don't want to play their game. I don't agree with it, you know what I mean? And maybe, there's credits to be rewarded, you know what I mean? Clearly there's credits to be rewarded if you go along with the game and you go along with the program. You know what I mean? But is it really worth it? Do you really want to lose your essence, your soul over that shit? I know, you get forced into it. And it's easy to happen because it happens to all of us. You're young, you fall in love, you got bills, you got to pay, and because everything is a form of enslavement, whether it's cars, insurance, the house, the mortgage, the rent, and on it goes. And then you got this hot chick, and want to make her happy, or you knock her up, you know what I mean, or she gets knocked up, whatever, and you know what I mean. And then you're like, well, we got to play mommy and daddy, and we got to take care of business, and then it's like, you just get sucked right back into this. Any semblance that you even were a rebel or broke away from the system was soon diminished to nothing, where you're waking up when you're 30s or 40s and go, who the fuck am I, and what the hell happened to me? What happened to all my dreams? What the hell? I got 3 cars and a 2-car garage, but I don't even have money to do anything in the damn garage. I barely had enough money to make my man cave bit. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, upstairs you can hear her like talking, and you happen to wait to her friends and complaining about you. You're like, shit. I mean, get me back to work, man. Just get me back to work. I don't want to listen to this stuff. Maybe tomorrow I'll get better. But I don't get any better. And if you're lucky, you'll get divorced after the kids move out of the house. That's if you're lucky. The worst thing is if you actually end up staying married for 50, 60, 70 years with each other, hating on each other. Some of you end up falling in love again, but for the most part, what the fuck is falling in love anyways, right? It's getting rebonded, reattached to each other, you know what I mean? Finding some value, Sometimes people need to do is they need to actually go cheat on each other to find out whether they really want to be with other. Maybe they'll find out that they really want to be with each other. But I just think people are so fickle. I know the women in my life, man. And I can't say much better for myself, so it's not really, I guess, sex or whatever, each sex has their own issues, right? As we all know. So, ultimately, the whole Bible is to condemn you, that you're the fault for all this crap, even though you have no fucking idea what the hell's going on. But you're the ones at fault for all this. And if you don't conform and be a good little boy and girl, conform to the matrix, the system, then you're out. You're cast out into the. You're no longer in the pyramid. You're not one brick of the pyramid. Now you're out in the desert all by yourself while you stare at that pyramid, thinking every day, do I want to get back into it, or can I even get back into it? Even have the ability to get back into it? Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever that is, physically. And if you're like me, and every time you dip your hand or you're in the matrix there, that great pyramid, or you touch it, or you get too close, the energy is so intense that it repulses me, literally. So maybe at the end of the day, the 666 person is the one who just totally complies 100% to the matrix. You are now a 666. You're kind of like a beast, a cog for the system. Yeah, we'll put lipstick on you, but you're still that damn nasty thing that you are. We'll put all the fancy clothes on you and all that, and pretend, that you're something you're not. Look how important I am. And it goes on and on and on. The word corona is made out of 6 letters, and corona equals 66 in English ordinal gematria. Cipher. So the whole word combined represents, of course, 666. And it just goes on and on and on. It all leads back to Rome, honest to God. And then you're like, okay, so there's the head of the serpent, there's the head of the Leviathan, and our side of the, whether it's a ball or pizza plate, pizza, whatever the fuck it is, we don't even know what. How the hell do we know? I mean, they can argue all day long. You could debate an astrophysicist, but he knows his numbers. He knows his beliefs. They're just going to call you a fucking idiot for even questioning. It's funny. That happens in all walks of life, doesn't it? Whether it's in business and politics and religion and higher education and the science community. Anybody that fucking questions anything about the status quo, you're a fucking idiot. And you know what? Sure. Why not? Who isn't a fucking idiot? Just some people are better at parroting the information, right? Most stuff we're never going to be able to challenge or figure out or know if it's real or not anyways, right? So we just throw up our hands and say, well, it's not my forte, it's not my pay grade. Well, let somebody else handle that shit, right? What else are we going to do anyways? Trump's son-in-law and his family operate out of 665th Avenue, remember that, in their headquarters for years. In the English Sumerian cipher and gematria, instantly equals 66. Mandatory equals 66. Vaccination equals 66. Global genocide equals 66. Public health equals 66. Mental test equals 66. The change in the DNA equals 66. Death number equals 66. Computer equals 66. Ejaculation equals 66. Witchcraft equals 66. Necromancy equals 66. Illusion equals 666. I keep on saying 66. I mainly said 666, of course. I'm sorry. And New Mexico equals 666. Microsoft was founded in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and $sign equals 666, and the sun-moon equals 666, which is interesting considering the fact that the axis of the Earth is claimed to be tilted at 66.6 degrees angle to the plane of the sun. And I'd recommend looking into the sun and moon matrix theory as well. Sure, why not? I mean, the sun and the moon are about the same size. They got eclipses on. Yeah, it's very suspect. I mean, what are the odds of that happening? I mean, it's astronomical. Those eclipses might be more amazing than evolution itself, all right? And men and where we stand in all this. Because, man, we're like just like a giant zit on some poor dude's forehead. How the fuck are you not going to miss the fact that it doesn't quite work? You know what I mean? The world's most used browser, Chrome logo, and CERN's logo, and Vonda Fawn's logo, and Disney's logo, and the World Economic Forum has 666 carefully hidden in plain sight because they serve who? The Empire, the Vatican, the Pontifex Maximus, the big game. So that's, I mean, these are, when you see this, you see, this is how I figured it. You can say otherwise. I know Zach kind of figured it out too. He knows about the Jesuits, and I figured it out before Zach, even I found him, Zach. So 13 is part of their sacred numbers, the Jesuits and Christianity. 33 is, 3 is, all right. I imagine 9 is, if I don't know. I have no idea. 11 is, because remember, there was 12 apostles, and then Judas Iscariot was a minus, so they turned into 11, right? All right, and then I don't know about 36, well, 33 we already know about Jesus, right? So all these numbers that keep popping up are just signals to those who are, part of the Matrix, part of the Illuminati, because the Illuminati is simply those the managers, the managing class, and the oligarchs in the Roman Empire. They're all working together, right? But they want to make sure that you didn't think that there's none of that's going on. But there are so many books out there with so much evidence to say otherwise. And see, this is why my channel gets taken down, because I start talking this way, start revealing the actual truth of things, and then poof. Because nobody, first of all, if you're Roman Catholic, you don't want to hear this because you think I'm attacking your religion. In a way, I guess I am. But it's not the intent. My intent is to expose what's really going on. Most educated Roman Catholics, highly educated Roman Catholics, realize everything I'm just saying is the truth. But you can't talk about that. So then we have to go. So I see this thing about the soul trap matrix. It's like everyone knows there's this trap we're in, right? And there's no way to escape. And so this is like, and when we read this, we're going to like, we're given like some hopium, if you will, to escape. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, because maybe in the end they're on to something. But there's, you know what? There's no evidence that anybody, if they went to the other side, beat the system. Of course, Jesus, that's what his whole claim was. He did beat the system, right? And so it's, instead of, you get a chance to go to the box, the cube, right? You get to live in a big giant cube with him, and he will rule you with a rod of iron, right? Of course, that's talking about Rome, but it's like you're just thinking about that stuff, and it's like, and what is a cube after all? And it has like, 3 holes on each side. Of course, there's the astrotheology part, but think about it as well, the prison cell. You're in a giant cage, basically, with 3 openings, 3 entries on all 4 sides, right? So they give you some ventilation as you can see stuff, but you're still in that cage. So it's offering you to go from one cage to another cage. So that's what Christianity does for you. Of course, the Hebrews, they didn't even believe in an afterlife. I don't know if you realize that. They just wanted to, they wanted to be the one in charge. And maybe that's, at the end of the day, what they actually become. So, because that's the obsession about them. You know, but they're not the only ones that want to be in charge. There's lots of people. There's lots of cabals, if you like, that want to be the top dog, or get a big piece of the pie, bigger piece of the pie. So in reverse English, Sumerian cipher and gematria, internet equals 666, excuse me. Genesis equals 666. October equals 666. And remember how October is of 2017? They reported the United States was running a $666 billion deficit for the fiscal year. Business equals 666. And we should all know religion is a big business, and it certainly is. It's totally tied with the mafia and the monarchies, and a great control mechanism. Remember the scheme of the film network, where Ned Beatty, is that what it is? Beatty's character is signing 666 with his fingers while talking about dollars and the world being a business. On pornographic material, the three letter X's, XXX, are often displayed as X. Are often displayed. X is the 24th letter, which means in reduction cipher X means 6, because 24 is 2 plus 4, which equals 6. Thus, XXX is also the same as 666. When it comes to the www, the letter W originates from the word wa, W-A-W, I'm sure I'm not trying to say it right, which is the 60 letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So 60? 16, 60. I didn't know there were 60 letters in the Hebrew. You must have missed. Is it 60 or 6? I don't remember now. Anyways, maybe it adds up to 60. Blah, 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 blah. Where am I at? I totally lost my... So anyways, so www equals 666. Remember how Peggy Whiteson spent 666 days in space from November 7th of 2015 to September 3rd of 2017? I assume many of you already heard of the hidden 666 and the barcodes, but have you heard about the Washington Monument having an extra 111 feet below ground, making the entire unit 666 feet tall? Yes, I have. It's also very interesting how most of the major crises and psyops, major natural disaster events and UFO sightings, seem to land on the pentagram of blood, pentagram.com, and also the Pope's Greek name added up to 666. And if I'm not mistaken, they called off the scamdemic 666 days. They lasted that long. So, but the thing is, no one wants to point the finger at the right characters, at least in the flesh. And I know why that is. Because you're going to get your ass bit from it. That's what happened to me. So if you tell the truth about this shit, oh boy. So that was fun. That was another fun discussion, wasn't it? And let's think about it. I know it sucks hanging out with a obnoxious old, you know, fart like myself. Yeah, I know. But you know what? If you listen to old fart like myself, you just actually might learn something. What you do with it afterwards, that's up to you, man. God, I mean, when you really come you're like shock. You don't know who to trust. You don't even know if your family you can trust. Well, who the fuck are you supposed to trust? I guess the only one in the day that you could trust all along was you. And even that, it's going to be a struggle to trust you because of all the other things that are going on with us, right? Health issues, our own cognitive limitations, financial limitations, lack of opportunity, all sorts of things. I'm glad my son took up skateboarding.